What's up, everybody? Let me send a tweet real quick. Let's see here. Just stick with me, guys. I'm just sending a tweet. Let the world know. All right. Got the tweet out. People coming in. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's been doing well. Let me get Kim on in here. Oh, man. I think I'm about to start having a sneezing fit. Kim.
How you doing, Ricky?
I'm good. How have you been?
I've been good. Everything goes good with you?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I'm back home, and hopefully the Wi-Fi here is not going to have spotty connection. Honest to God, like I'm rely on my internet connection for my job, and I never have a problem. The second I want to do an Instagram live, it wants to cut in and out. Right.
It's the nature of the beast. Murphy's Law, right?
Yep.
Murphy's Law. Oh, it's good to see you. I haven't watched your talk yet. I can't wait to see your talk because, we talked a little bit about what you were going to talk about, so I can't wait to see it. I just haven't had a minute, but I'm going to watch it.
All good, all good. Yeah,
so excited.
A lot of other people spoke too and had really great speeches. One I know you're going to want to watch is Brian Lee's. He did tremendous. So
yes, absolutely. I'm just, the world is lucky to have traders like you guys. They really are. The traders out there are very lucky to have traders like you who want to give back and who really care that people find their way. I think you both are very great examples of egoless, and that is really important for traders to see and learn from.
We had a good time hanging out in Vegas, me and Brian, because we definitely click on that level, right? Where, we're not there to show off or be boastful, but, it's Vegas. People like to do Vegas things in Vegas. And Brian was like, all right.
When in Rome, you got to be a Roman, right?
Yeah. So if you guys are just coming in, welcome. This is what we do bi-weekly. It's Method and Mindset. It's me and Kim Ann Curtin, the Wall Street coach. If you guys don't know about her, you want to go ahead? I'll let you intro yourself.
Sure. I mean, first of all, if you guys don't know me, then go to methodandmindset.com because you'll get so many hours of me and you'll get hours of Ricky, but there's really valuable content, and you'll get the fundamental kind of approach that I take when I work with traders one-on-one in those courses. I think it's 4 to 6 hours of lessons I've worked. I did this for True Trader over a year ago. So they're all in that vault, and it's all free, guys. So it's kind of crazy. If you want to get to know me, go to Method and Mindset. And if you want to get to know Ricky and all the freaking wisdom he's dropped, there's hours of content there of him as well. So, and it also lets you stay in touch with this and potentially apply to be here today. So go visit it.
And so basically what we do, guys, is we have a guest on every other week, 5 p.m. market time, and we coach them on both aspects of what we consider the things that you need to focus on, right? The mental aspects and the technical aspects. So obviously I'm here to kind of like try to give advice, or not financial advice, but just my opinion on how I see things from technical side of it. And Kim and all her wisdom is so good with the mental side, guys. So we have a guest lined up for this week, and let's get him in here.
Beautiful.
We have James.
One of our viewers, I'm so sorry, his name just fell out of my head. I wanted to give him a shout out today. He always says fortnightly. Every other week, the formal term from the old English is fortnightly. And I was like, I really like that. It sounds so classy.
So I sent James the request. Hopefully he gets it on his end and can pop on in here. I had the privilege. There he is. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? So,
how are you, man?
how's it going? I got a little cold, so if I start sneezing,
Okay, we'll survive.
Right when I went live, I felt my nose all tinge up, and it was like I felt like I was about to have an allergy attack. And I was like, "Great, we're gonna go live. I'm just gonna be sneezing all over the place." But
It's good to see you, man. You guys got to meet in Vegas.
yep,
Vegas.
James came out to the event and met him at one of the after events, as well as all around the auditorium where they had the thing. What was your opinion on the event? Did you have a good time and learn a lot?
Yeah, I went in 2017, and that one compared to this one in terms of experience and being able to take as much out of it was a drastic difference.
Wow. Was that because you were in a different headspace?
Yeah, that was exactly it. Because after doing it for so many years, I struggled with some level of self-confidence, and going there really just completely 360'd everything, and it made me realize that I'm a lot more knowledgeable than I give myself credit for.
Wow.
And the traders, and even talking to you, Ricky, I asked you a question, and even the smallest type of response that you gave just completely 360 my thought process into what I was looking to do.
Really good job. Good job for going back, man, that you went back this year, because that probably opened up your ability to see all this. So what do you attribute to your willingness to go back in the first place?
A desire, a craving to want more. I had so many questions I wanted to get answered that I felt as though if I connected with other traders, it would help me in different areas. And it wasn't more so the specifics, it was more so like the general idea of just being around like-minded people that are willing to each other, and just good positivity. Ricky, like your speech, just finding a tribe of people that can really lift you up instead of bring you down. And I thought meeting so many people was awesome. Just
so important. And if it's okay with both of you guys, I just want to underline that, because this is such a lonely profession. You can be so easily demoralized. And if you have a tribe, not just for the painful days, but also for the great days, there's a couple of traders this week who had great days, and who can you share that with? You could have people jealous of you if they don't understand what you're doing, and understand that like that great day just makes up for all the lousy ones. So I'm so happy that you spoke to that, because doesn't it make a huge difference to have people who understand what you're talking about, who love on you and support you and encourage you? It's game changing.
It is, definitely is. It helped me more than I can describe, because I'm very feel type person. So just being in that space and just connecting with people really just, like I said, just completely shifted my mindset. It was great.
It's so great.
I don't know about you, but every year when I go to that event, when I come back, I feel completely like rejuvenated, like ready to absolutely destroy the market. Right? Because I'm just like, it's just what you need, right? You just need to see other people and like talk and realize like there's other people out there that are absolutely crushing it, and there's no reason that you can't be. And you come back and it's just it's a good feeling when you get back to your desk after a meetup like that.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, the only thing that killed me was the time schedule. There's a time difference. It's like 3 hour difference from New York time. So
that's rough.
It was really rough, but it was definitely worth it. It was really awesome.
Good. So what are you bringing us? What are you bringing us today?
So just give you some quick backstory. I started trading in 2016 and learned from, crappy mentors, and the information I was learning didn't really make sense. And Kim, I watched some of your content, and I forget the specific what it is, but there's 4 types of people: questioners, upholders, rebels, and something else. Yeah. So I took the quiz, and I'm a questioner, and that's not surprising at all. And I went on this, once I realized that something was up, that it's just possible for people to trade and make money in this way, I went on just non-stop learning, and I overwhelmed myself with the amount of knowledge that I got a ton to personal development, self-help, and a ton of just, reframing old beliefs and changing the person who I was because the person I wasn't the trader that person wasn't a trader. I slowly be the trader, disciplined, consistent, etc. And that's just through changing my purpose, changing my beliefs, changing my perspective, growing up as a person. Long story short, I went from trading small caps to trading large caps to trading small caps. And when I started trading the small caps, it put me in a box, and it didn't match my personality, where I need to see opportunity. I need to know that there's an option to do more in order for me to succeed. So when I went to Trades for a Cause, I realized that you can make money doing anything. It doesn't, as long as you have a strategy that is proven with edge, you can make money consistently. And as long as there are all the other combinations that make a profitable trader. And that gave me the confidence to just realize that, hey, like, what I know is applicable in multiple different markets. Obviously, there's key differences in a lot of things, but the general idea is, in terms of how I trade, is the same. And what happened to me was I overloaded myself with the amount of setups and the amount of different ways to trade and different ways that you could make money, that I was kind of just shooting bullets everywhere. I was just trying this, trying this in order to learn. And by doing so, without the proper training on what makes a good trader, it made me have so many inconsistencies with how I trade. And I kind of eliminated the word setup, because that kind of put a very specific specific criteria based to it. When, yes, it's true, like, there are specifics when it comes to setups, of course, but for me, always looking for just this one specific thing every time just drove me more crazy than it would be if I started looking for other things. So the past week or 2 weeks since Trades for a Cause, I opened up my horizon, and I created my own strategy and gave myself the confidence to, like, do what I had to do. But I realized in the past 2 weeks that some of my old habits, things like just shorting front side or longing backside, just like basic examples, still hinder me. And the root cause of it all is because I would say 90 to 80% of the time, my trade thesis is correct. Like, what level need to be broken to the downside would work, or what level could be. I'm not really trying to predict. I'm letting the stock show me the story and what it needs to do. But the problem comes in where I'll preemptively get into the trade because I'm like, okay, well, I see that it could, so let's just say, turn over on this level. Like, for example, I was trading forward today on our earnings, and I felt as though it was very extended on the daily, based on the chart. And for whatever reason, I just started shorting based on like a smaller 2-minute level, and then off of pre-market highs. And then it wasn't until I woke up and I was like, what am I doing? There's, a level in the 60 cents to $18 area that I could be trading into. And then obviously, of course, the trade winds up playing in that, lower in that fashion. So pretty much all I do is I look for big picture setup first. I look for key levels, and I use trend, targets, entries. Specific entries. I look for specific plays, like higher lows, lower highs, some type of bounce, some type of reversal, etc., on how I can trade it. But it's kind of like I know what I'm doing, but I don't know how to do it, if that makes sense. But I do know how to do it. It's just when I'm in that moment, it's kind of like I get blind. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why did I do that? And it isn't until in reflection that I'm like, what was I thinking in this area? And ultimately, what I determined that comes down to is patience to wait for the best entries, where...
We just lost your sound.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
I don't have the patience to wait for the best entry price, because there's still some things I'm a little confused on when it comes to different time frames.
I'm just gonna ask you to pause for a second. So I just want you to hone it in, because we don't have that much time. So patience is one of the issues. That's okay. You're trying to work it out yourself, which is part of what this call is about. But just so Ricky and I are clear, you just identified that one of the things you're struggling with is patience. Just give us like 1 or 2 other things that are like the top issues. Patience, and what else?
Scaling into a trade would be one of them.
Say that again.
Scaling into a trade.
Okay.
Ways on how to scale into a trade. And then another one would be identifying stronger entries on multiple time frames. So like if I'm trying
Okay,
to
hold on. That's good. Those three. Yes?
yep, perfect. Thank you.
Terrific. You give us permission to coach you?
I have every permission to coach me, cut me off when you need to, because I can just go.
It's all good. It's all good. You're trying to work it out. And talking, that's why talking to people that really listen to you matters. There's nothing wrong with it. We have a limit of time today, but part of why talking it out matters and helps us is it helps us get our thoughts straight and get them out on the table for us to hone in. So I'm going to pause because I have a feeling, Ricky, you should go first here. Do you agree with me?
I can.
Yeah.
It's usually like, it's always a toss up for me because I'm just like, I could probably start talking about technical things and then I'm going to realize that that's more of a mental thing, right? Like you already identified the patience part, right? So let's just use the example of, you already said you have an issue sometimes being early and being front side. So there are times when that's okay. Like if you understand how that trade needs to work and you understand how the price action is unfolding. So there are times when things get extremely extended to the upside into key levels. And it's not that you shouldn't put anything on, even though we haven't rolled over yet, right? So the first thing I would ask you is like, do you have a black and white way of defining whether or not something's extended on whatever time frame it is you're looking?
I do.
Okay.
What usually happens is, I think because of past trauma, just not being wrong in the trade, that it'll get to the level where it's like you should have the most size on because that's your risk level, and I'll be like, oh, I'm not gonna ask you because what happens if it breaks above? And it's like, well, I already had everything pre-planned. Why isn't it? Then it isn't until afterwards I realized, but in that moment,
so if you're putting anything on while it's moving up, it has to be size that is comfortable for that entry, because it's way different than if you're hitting the trade after you get some sort of confirmation first, right? So this is the classic debate between anticipation versus confirmation. And to be honest with you, even if you see something that's shooting up, get that, what a lot of people call the stuff candle, whatever you want to call it, right? Big red candle, that in itself is not confirmation either. A lot of people kind of confuse that. They go, there's the confirmation. Not necessarily. It's really just a pullback until we try to push back up and take out those highs again. We still might be on the front side, right? And we've seen this a lot lately. Stuff candle, soak, new highs. And everybody that saw that stuff candle and shorted gets smoked because one, they're misinterpreting that as confirmation when it's still anticipation. And so they're using the kind of size you would use as though, they've got the confirmation they need. So if you are putting something on while it's getting extended, you have to have whatever reason it is you personally look for to know it's extended. You have to have that conviction in the back of your head from back testing that, look, this is still has a lot of room below, even on the, like, let's just say we're using a 1 minute time frame to identify something moving really fast, right? So for me personally, I know a lot of people already know this about me, just in case people watching don't, I use the 20 SMA on every single time frame. It keeps things very simple for me, and I've used it for years, and it works for me. It doesn't mean you have to use it, but I will tell you this: when a stock is moving really fast, you get a very big extension from the 1 minute 20. That move will not be able to sustain that kind of momentum for too much longer before it eventually seeks that 1 minute 20 out. Now, that doesn't mean that the price is going to just get smoked, come back down to the 1 minute 20, because a lot of times what happens is you get consolidation around the highs. Meanwhile, the 1 minute 20 catches up, right? But that is the bare minimum for me to assume something is actually extended to the upside. We need that extension, that room from the 1 minute 20, because you'll never find a chart where price doesn't get back to the 1 minute 20. The only question is, does price attack it or does the 1 minute 20 catch up? So giving yourself that kind of buffer, right? Like I traded for it today too. And at one point, you know, when it made that big shove up towards the 18 level, there was adequate room back to the 1 minute 20 to actually put that trade on. And it doesn't have to be full size, right? What we're doing is saying, look, we have some pretty good entries up here where we know that even if we're only taking this back to the 1 minute 20, there's still plenty of room. And then when you get the confirmation, you already have a good entry. And then from there, you can hit pops risking highs in anticipation of a lower high. Again, what lower highs still doesn't confirm anything. You still need to roll back over and confirm that it was a lower high by then making a lower low. And then we can discuss taking the trade back to targets. Because all we've discussed to this point, right, is entries and kind of identifying when a trade may actually be justifying using a little bit of a starter position on the front side and then knowing what to look for afterwards. But that still has nothing to do with targets, right? So if we're extended from the 1 minute 20, where do you think we are in relation to the 5 minute 20?
Even further away.
Exactly. So if a stock pulls back to the 1 minute 20 and then tries to push up again, if you look at that on a 5 minute chart, what it's going to look like is a pullback from the highs, and it's going to look like we may be trying to put in a lower high again. And if that rolls over, the price usually is going to seek the 5 minute 20. And this is how we set objective rational targets, right? And again, for anyone listening and for you especially, James, I'm not saying you have to use the 20 SMA. But whatever you do use, you need to have the confidence in it through back testing and going through your stuff and looking at chart after chart, setup after setup, where every piece of criteria that you need to be met is being met, and saying, okay, how often does the price get back to this target? How often does the price get back to this target? What are the things I need to look out for when it's not going to get back to the target? So once you start getting the confirmation, that's when I like to scale it. And again, I'm not a financial advisor, guys. I'm not, you know, I can only give my opinions, but scaling in as something's moving against you is much more dangerous than scaling in as it's going in your favor, but it's mentally way tougher, right? Like everybody finds it so easy to add to a position that's going against you until you stop what you're doing for a second and like see your position size and know where the price is and go, holy shit. Like, cause I mean, personally, I don't have my P&L up ever. Right. But I'm good enough at math to be like, yeah, my unrealized red P&L right now is probably pretty large. Right. But what's everybody think when something is moving in their favor and they want to add? They go, shit, but I have such a good average, right? I'm going to ruin my average. Well, imagine it was a long and you're trying to scale into the long as it's coming against you. And then all of a sudden you'll be unrealized, but it's not red. It's green as hell. And you're going, man, that's the right way to do things. When things are working, you want more size. When things aren't working, you want less size.
So I have two questions. Because I tricked pretty much exactly that. Once you got that fail and then the lower high on, you know, the 1 minute, two things. One is I tend to cut my targets short where I'll get out prematurely just because I'll see a little green. Not even necessarily see it, but I know I'm in the green. And whether or not I took a loss before, obviously makes a difference, but it's just in general, it's like I see green, I'm like, I'll take it. And oftentimes it's like we eventually got that confirmation on forward. And my question is, once that confirmation happens where it does like that little rollover over, you know, underneath the 20, I use the 13, but it's not a drastic difference. But where's the line between covering at your trend versus, and then once you do so, you get the confirmation, you're scaling. If you're trying to add to a winner, your risk level, is it still higher day or is it that break level?
So it depends. I typically will, when I add, I'm usually doing it because I've seen something that tells me we are going lower. And when I do that, I have a new spot to cover. I have risk for the add and I have risk for my original position. So if I stop out the add, doesn't mean I have to take the whole position off, right? I can just take the add off and it's usually just over that lower high. And that way I can still keep my original risk on the original piece in case it does eventually want to work. But, you know, I see a lot of people do similar mistakes where not necessarily like they'll be green, but I've seen this a lot where people go, you know, let's say they take 1,000 shares and they were risking, let's just say for sake of simplicity, right? They were risking 20 cents. If the stock moves like 40 cents in their favor, they will cover half and go, now it's a break-even trade no matter what, right? But guess what? You just did to yourself. Now when it works, you don't have the size you were supposed to have at your final target. And really, your risk-reward suffers, right? Like, and if your risk-reward suffers, then so does your expectancy, which is obviously, will I be profitable trading this edge if I stick to my plan? Well, guess what? Your plan shouldn't be including making trades, break-even trades.
That's exactly it. Most of my green trades are trades that could have been a lot better, but just simply because I traded to break even, I traded for minimal. You know, I minimize all my winners. That's really like the biggest difference of training is just that preemptive target cutting.
So basically, what you need to do to fix this is you need to go through as many charts as you can of these setups and just time after time after time, seeing it go to your target. You have to know that this isn't something you've made up in your mind. You've seen it, and this happens over and over and over again. And the times that it doesn't are so few that you're okay with letting them go back against you and maybe taking them off where you need to stop out. But you need to see things through, right? As traders, that's one big thing we always need to do is we have a plan. If you make a plan and you start to execute it and then just halfway through change everything and like bail on it, that's not executing at all. Execution is every single part of the plan. It can't just be the entry. It can't just be the stop. It has to be the targets too.
So that sounds like self-trust. Would that be right? You're not trusting yourself, James?
I think that's it.
Which kind of goes hand in hand, right, with what he said about
being a questioner.
Well, and being at Traders for a Cause and realizing, holy shit, I don't give myself enough credit.
Yep, you got it. So that's double. You told us twice over now that the challenge here is probably around the self-trust. And I want to read to you. So what James is talking about is from a book by Gretchen Rubin called The Four Tendencies. And he did this assessment. It's a free assessment online. And here's what a questioner is, James, in case you forgot. Questioners question all expectations. They want to know why they should do something because they have a deep commitment to logic and efficiency. Questioners have a hard time making decisions because they want more information.
Yeah, it's
You know what's funny is when you read that to me, Kim, I instantly thought of a few people from our trading community where I'm like, that's exactly what that person is. And you know what they suffer from? You know what they always do to me? Ricky, does that volume bar mean that institutional players are coming in right here? Like, I don't know. Listen, and I tell this to my room all the time. Like, Ricky, why is the price coming down? Why is the price coming down? Because there's more sellers than buyers. Listen, part of what we do is for a living is we make decisions with limited data, right? Like we don't always know why something is happening.
That's right.
And nor will we. And people that act like they know are lying to you. Yep. And the truth
or
is,
they've rationalized, or they have really lied to themselves, right? Yeah. Because they're so, and that's why I think it is important to understand yourself. No, because if you are a questioner, you have to know that about yourself and how that could potentially get in your way as a trader, because it sounds like it might be getting your way, James. And that coupled with the self-doubt is just a perfect storm of not letting that patience isn't getting a chance to really operate through you because that self-trust isn't there, you know? And people do lie to themselves because if you are a questioner who wants a justification, you will feel uneasy until you get that question, sense of justification. But then the trade's over. You're too busy trying to come up with a justification, and it's possible for yourself, right? If this self-trust isn't there. So just maybe revisit that description, put that close by your desk so you can remember, and lean into what you noticed, that, wow, I do have a right to be here. I do have knowledge. That it feels like all that Ricky spoke to for you, along with your willingness to come into this forum in front of all these people and talk about it. Like, that's somebody who's willing to stretch himself and get connected to what's going to help you be successful at this. What else could you ask for?
Does any of that have to do with maybe letting go of the possibility of more? Because sometimes I struggle where I'll just be like, if I just take a step back and just like not trying to overanalyze, one, 5-minute bar closing red or whatever the case is. I feel like in a sense, what you're saying is I should just be, the answer to my question is that there isn't an answer to the question.
Yep.
That idea just like
that will fuck with you, especially as a questioner.
Yeah.
You're just like, I want to have the exact answer. It's getting more comfortable. Like, anything I have to say, I'm always talking about getting comfortable with the discomfort, right? And also the other thing is, questioners, give yourself an outlet where your questioning is valuable. Like, let there be an outlet for it. It's probably not going to serve you as much in your trading as it might in other places. Like, if you're find a way to be, create a hobby for yourself where the questioning really comes in handy. Find a place for that to be utilized so that it doesn't feel you feel so choked by it in your trading, perhaps.
It's funny because I think in terms of questioning, but I don't look at things, sorry about that, in terms of
that's okay.
Finite answers. I know it might seem a little weird, but it's not like I'm thinking, oh, if this doesn't happen, then that must happen because it happened here before. Like, I'm not that crazy about it.
Questioners are motivated though by reasons and justification. So in a way, I almost want to say it's sort of like an intellectual. Like, I'll be honest with you, I live in Hawaii now, and I used to live in New York City. And in New York City, I could go to dinner 5 nights of the week and hang out with people who had radically different views than me. And we would just pull it apart. We never got mad at each other. How could you think that? And then he'd say his reason and I'd say my reason. And it was so stimulating for me because I was able to just hear, like, wow, that's what they think. I never thought of that before. It gave me like food. It nourished me because I was able to spend time with different cultures, different ethnic groups, different worldviews. And I don't get that as much here, right? Because there's a little bit of there's a lot of people here that are the same. But that diversity, I miss that. I'm fortunate because I do so much of my work online that I get that diversity. So I get to kind of pull it apart and see all these different people's way of living. Maybe you just need a little bit more of that in your day-to-day life, in your personal life, so that when you come to trading, you get to be able to be more honed in. Because that, even when you were talking at the beginning about like you try this and then you try that, that feels like you just want maybe some more variety, but don't find your variety for, in your trading. Like, I'm not saying there isn't a little bit of it, but maybe get that met. I'm all about needs, right? And if you're not going to that method mindset, watch those 5 hours of me, because I talk about if you don't get your basic needs met outside of trading, you're going to try to get those needs met inside of trading, and that is going to be costly.
Definitely take that.
I wanted to address one other thing too, and that is, so at the beginning you were talking about how you learned a lot of different things from a lot of different people with all different types of strategies, right? That's not necessarily a bad thing, but what does become a bad thing is when you are working on a strategy, like you're trying to trade it, and you ditch it the second it's just not working, because you have to understand not every no strategy is going to win all the time, right? But you have to sit through the losses to get to when they start working. And if you just, every time you take a loss on it, I'm going to try this other strategy, right? you jump around too much, and what happens is the market ends up, all those trades you stopped taking that you were taking are probably working while you're off doing something else that's no longer working.
Good point. Such a good point.
Is like, it wasn't even the fact that I was learning the setups to, or the strategies to apply them. It was more like, let me know them, let me like give them a shot, and then I'll just go to the next one. And it wasn't even because it wasn't even an urge for money. I never really had like an urge to make money in the market. It was more like,
it's your curiosity, James. It's
yeah,
the questioner in you. You want to understand it here and get like, oh, this, oh, and look at that over there. And that is such a strength of yours, but it sounds like it's not a strength in trading. Like if you did what Ricky's suggesting, that means taking one and running with it for a period of time, 3 weeks, 3 months, get to know it in and out so that you can come to the terms with, this is the one for me or it isn't. But that curiosity and wanting to know them all, you could do that someplace else.
Well, and you know what? You can actually, there are still certain areas of trading where it's beneficial to have the questioning aspects, right? So when it comes to like why a stock is doing something or why it's acting a certain way, right? Those are questions where the answer doesn't even matter. It just is what it is. And one of the best things you can do as a trader is come to market every day with this little knowledge in the back of your head that like, look, I don't know shit about shit, except the one thing I do know is my setups and my criteria. That's it. And when it comes, the best thing about technical analysis and using that for whatever kind of strategy you want to trade is that can be black and white. It literally is one of the few things that can be black and white in trading. And that type of stuff is where your questioning may lead you to some amazing insight. By looking at a strategy or trying to figure out like, what's the best target for this setup? Well, it takes a person that asks a lot of questions to figure that out. What do I need to look? What are the boxes that need to be checked for this setup to be A+? That's a question that somebody that asks a lot of questions is going to find out. But constantly going like I don't know, why is this stock doing this, or was this a chat room pump? That don't help none. Doesn't help any. Be stupid, follow price. That's one of my favorite things that Tom Canfield has said, and I live by that. Right? Just try to block out all the stuff that no matter how hard you try to have an answer for it, you'll never have the answer because one, it's a waste of time, and two, the answer doesn't matter.
Definitely.
So what do you think, James? You got enough to work on? You get back to Ricky and I and let us know how it unfolds.
I think so. I think it ultimately comes down to just letting go and being confident in setups and being confident in my trading, and kind of letting that be in itself a new way of forming habits and a new way of ignoring the old ones and saying like, kind of like looking at the old version and thinking of it negatively, and then looking at the new version and thinking like a new, ultimately more confident trader, because I know XYZ for each individual trade time and time and again, to proven itself, and not get so caught up in the small particulars, but just, let go and try.
Let me ask you a question, James. What's your biggest fear when it comes to what is it that you're worried about when you take trades off early? That they're going to go against you, or you're going to lose money? Is it about being wrong?
I think it comes down to a little bit of like, I don't want to use the word intuition, but more like feel, where it's like a smaller level, and I feel like it could pull back, and it's like, well, I'm really willing to give it that time of day, or should I just?
He's asking, what's the worst thing that could happen? What's going on for you? It's reversed. It's reversed.
Can you read through it?
I mean, shit, yeah.
Yeah, so I keep that on my desk. I keep that on my desk because I used to do the same thing, right? I would micromanage a trade and go, I'd get this gut feeling like, it might be about to do this. And that right there, that little sticky note is for that. Yes, you can have those feelings, but acting on them is wrong.
Yeah, I think maybe to directly answer the question, maybe being wrong is the issue, but it's not like I'm saying to myself like, oh, I hate being wrong. It's more like, is the justification for what I gave this incorrect? And if so, why is that? And then that is why I don't like being wrong, I guess.
So
But
here's what you do for that. You allow that thought, and then you allow yourself to go and find out that answer after the trade, not while in it. Because all
Exactly.
the work that goes into the trade goes in prior to the trade. And all
That's
the
right.
analysis and review of the trade happens after the trade.
yeah, I think it's the biggest takeaway. I think that's a really good point you just made.
That's
Because
huge.
2-3 hours for a reason. Why am I doing it if I'm not going to trust in it to begin with? And I'll find that out, that's for sure. But in that moment,
and that's your questioning tendency, which is gonna, so it just sounds like it's you putting a harness on that questioning tendency to do it at appropriate times, not while you're in the throes of battle.
good point. I like that. I like that a lot. That actually really helpful.
You can't in the middle of war be like, okay, everybody, just stop for a second because I just want to think this strategy through.
Ridiculous.
No.
But what you
Yeah.
just hearing that, the first thought to my head was, well, what am I going to do? I was like, the first thing I thought was, well, what am I going to think about? Like, what am I supposed
to? You have to learn more about being a questioner. I think that's the book you should read. Did you read The Four Tendencies? Did you read the book? Because she gives you specific kind of, I talk about it, I think, in a podcast or one of the webinars I did, but I don't dive deep into how to mitigate your tendency. So get the book, read the specifics about how to kind of find a way to mitigate that. It's a strength, but any strength of any of ours can become a cross if we take it too far. So just learn more about that tendency and see if you can be more conscious of when it's showing up in your trading day and how and where it hinders you. And as Ricky pointed out, there's going to be a time and a place for that. That's going to be a great edge, but you can't keep tripping over it. You have to be very disciplined about when you're going to use it. That's what it sounds like to me. And we only do these for like 30 minutes, so we're already over, James. So check out methodofmindset.com. Stay in touch with both of us. Let us know how it goes. Any last words, Ricky, you want to say to James?
No, I mean, good to see you again, bro. No, I actually respect you for coming on and, being vulnerable to the community. But like, honestly, I think you're, just like you said, you deserve some credit. Like, you're there, you put in the work, like, you're fine. You just need to fine tune it a little bit. Right. So, and what's funny is, like, when you start making small changes and you start seeing that small changes make big differences, then it snowballs. So, like, you just change one small thing and you see that it's working, and then guess what? All that confidence comes rushing back. You just get that mojo, right? And you just be like, man, all I had to do is change one little thing, and then from there you get that fixed and you change one more little thing, and it's all about fine tuning.
Appreciate that, man. It means a lot.
All
right, man.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Nice meeting you, Kim.
So good to meet you too, James. Please stay in touch. I'm excited to see where you unfold as you go forward. Let us know. Okay.
All right. Everybody else out there, methodandmindset.com. Tons of free content. Check me out over at True Trader. Check Kim out at her website, thewallstreetcoach.com, I believe. Was I right about that? Okay.
Yes, you are. Yes,
I didn't want to get that wrong. But yeah, and like, guys, you know me on Twitter. You know me on Insta. You can see me on YouTube. Reach out. You guys have a lot of resources out there. Use them. Watch trading YouTube videos. Read books. Yes. Like, trading is a never-ending journey, everybody. There's no finish line. You're never too old to start, and you're never too much of a veteran to learn new stuff, right? So get to work, guys.
He was so gutsy. I'm so impressed that he was so willing to be so honest about how he's been navigating it. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah. And I think he's got a bright future too. So
I do too. I do too. Yeah, it's awesome. So good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you too, Kim. And for the rest of you guys, we will see you in 2 weeks for episode. Was today episode 5 or was it 4?
I think it maybe was 6.
Was it?
I think it's 6, possibly. Benito, are you still here? You have to tell us. But you missed this at the beginning. I was trying to say to you, one of our viewers all the time, he always says they are on fortnightly. And I was like, that is so fabulous. Every other week used to be called fortnightly.
Yeah.
So that makes it sound like, very classy people, Ricky, don't you think? Fortnightly.
Yeah.
We'll see you fortnightly.
All right. Well,
episode 6.
Is it?
Benito just had episode 6.
Nice.
How do you like
right,
that?
cool.
Dude, we're flying through them.
We'll see you guys for episode 7 in 2 weeks or fortnightly.
Exactly.
All right. Everybody take care.
Aloha. Bye.